we're going to get started with our presentation right now. All right, we're going to start talking about some of the key principles to social selling. What is social selling? What's my social selling story? How I got involved and why I'm such a believer in social selling and how it can help you in shaping your business and shaping your paychecks, getting better clients, growing your word-of-mouth referrals. So there's so much that you could do with social selling, and we're going to discuss all of that in today's presentation. So thanks again for joining. I know you could be doing anything else right now, but you're watching me and you're investing in your education, and that's key to become successful in this day and age. Started with social selling. And the goal of today's webinar is at the end of this webinar, this presentation, I want you to make sure that you have actionable items on how you could start increasing your leads, turning those leads into sales, and also increasing profits. We all know just because you're bringing in revenue doesn't mean that you're profitable. So we want to increase those margins so you become more profitable as a salesperson and also for your business. And this is the agenda that I'm laying out. Number one, I want to introduce everyone to social selling. What is it? Why should I care? Right? We're going to discuss that. We're also going to talk about prospecting. Every salesperson is always on the lookout for new accounts. The life of any business is the new business that they're bringing in. So you're only as good as the prospects that are in your pipeline, the people that you're beginning to work. So that's a huge part of how social selling has helped me being able to connect with the right individuals, the decision makers. We're also going to talk about relationship building. You can't have social selling without the social, and being able to build a relationship, that's all part of being social. So we'll discuss, how does a relationship work, a business relationship? How do you build one using social media, using online marketing? We'll talk about that. And then lastly, closing, right? Getting introductions is great. Being able to build relationships is awesome. But Jeff, at the end of the day, I need these relationships to turn into more business, turn into new accounts, revenue, profit. So we'll also be covering that. So from beginning to end, you'll have an entire understanding of what social selling is and how you could use it to your advantage. These are the prerequisites to listening to the insight that I'm going to be sharing with you today, because I want to make sure that we're all on the same page. I've done presentations before where people were very beginner level, and it was just a waste of time for them to go through a presentation like this one, because the advanced and intermediate things that we were talking about, they were not going to be able to understand, much less do. So I don't want anyone here to waste their time, and I'm going to tell you up front, these are the prerequisites. So number one, you got to have a top producer mentality. And if I put out an article about this, I actually went to FIU, my university, alma mater, did a presentation on what it is, the top producer qualities. So you got to have that mentality. And I know that pretty much everyone that's listening to me right now has that mentality, because you wouldn't be investing, you wouldn't be doing this, listening to this presentation today if you weren't in that mentality, because top producers they're always educating themselves, they're investing in themselves. It's also about having good communication skills, being driven, setting goals, just sales skills, right? Having good sales skills is part of being a top producer. So if you haven't read that article, I suggest you Google top producer Jeff Zelaya, and you'll find that article that talks about the top producer qualities and how to have that mentality. But I'm sure, I have no issue. I'm sure all of you guys have that mentality if you're listening to me now. The second prerequisite is having a LinkedIn All-Star status. And I actually did a webinar on this subject a couple weeks ago, where we went through a checklist of what you need to have a LinkedIn All-Star profile. And that's necessary for you to put into action what I'll be sharing in this presentation today. You got to be at a certain level on LinkedIn to get certain privileges, to be able to attract the right type of attention, to build good relationships. So have that LinkedIn All-Star status. If you don't know what that is, Google LinkedIn All-Star Profile Checklist, and then you'll see my article that covers the checklist of what you need to become a LinkedIn All-Star. I recorded the last webinar, so you're able to replay that and check out in detail how to build that type of profile. And then third prerequisite is having a LinkedIn premium account. And this, if you're in sales, business development, you own a business, it's a no-brainer. It's a $15, $16 investment per month. You're going to get more than that in regards to a return. ROI is huge on a LinkedIn premium account, and you'll see why as we go through the slides today in this presentation. And then lastly, this is probably the most important one out of the ones here, is that if you are in sales and your business development, you got to have belief in whatever it is that you're selling. You got to be authentic, right? People will see in this day and age, transparency is crucial. So you got to really believe in what you are selling and what you are going to be sharing with others, and you got to have a love for that product or service. I always think of would you buy from someone that, if you walk into a dealership, it's a Lexus dealership, but the car salesperson is driving a Mercedes. Would you want to buy from that person? No, because they don't really believe enough in what they're selling to drive it themselves. So I think that's critical for everyone on this call today. Believe in what you're selling. If you don't have that belief, then get out of whatever it is. Get out of that business. Go sell something that you believe in. That's the only way you'll truly be successful in all facets of what success is. So believe and love what you do. That's a prerequisite. All these are prerequisites to this presentation today. So this is a great example of why social selling is important. Think about how you personally buy and your buying cycle and your buying process. It's changed. I mean, we look at what happened, the way people bought 5, even 10 years ago. It was much different than what it is today. Today, especially in the business-to-business sector, we're very influenced by what's happening on social media. We're looking at our Twitter network, our Facebook friends, our LinkedIn contacts, and we're influenced by what they're talking about, what they're saying. Maybe we reach out to them to get a recommendation. 75% of these type of purchases are influenced in some kind of way by social media. So that's why it's important for salespeople to adapt to that type of social influence world. 57% of buying decisions are made before the sales rep is even involved. Why? Because everyone's doing the research, right? I mean, I go and I'm thinking of buying a car. I'm going to be Googling that car, looking at reviews for that dealership, looking at forums, saying, talking that are talking about what the pros and cons of that particular vehicle, shopping around for the best price, looking at other dealerships that I could also go to. So everything's already pretty much made up in my mind before I walk into the dealership. I'm very well educated. So that's the world that we're living in now. We're dealing with people that are doing that same exact process, and they're very educated before the sales rep gets involved or has a chance to start building that dialogue or that relationship. And 97% of the time, cold calls do not work. I hate cold calls, right? People calling me, I've never reached out to you, I've never met you, just a cold call is distracting. I want to get those I want to get those people off the phone as soon as possible, right? And in sales, I mean, you're going to be doing cold calls, but with the social selling way, it's a much warmer call. So we're not eliminating cold calls completely. I think that's a necessity still in sales, but we're going to warm up those cold calls. So people, when you do call, they recognize your name, right? They recognize the name of your company, and they're more likely to then engage with you in dialogue and hear what you have to say. And of course, the phone is not always the best way to reach people. So social selling adds other ways to touch the prospects that we're looking to touch, right? It allows us to now engage with them through email, yes, through phone, but Twitter, LinkedIn messages, commenting on their blog, right? So we have so many other ways to do our touches with prospects, because you have to touch multiple times before they have that awareness built, and you've earned the right to maybe ask for the business. So times are changing, and it's on us to adapt or die. If we don't adapt to the way that buyers are buying, and we're still selling old-fashioned ways, you're not going to be in sales very long. You're not going to have the numbers that you could have. And if you don't do it, guess what? Your competitor will do it, and they're going to take away your clients. They're going to win the business, and you're going to be out of luck. So that's why social selling is important. That's why you should care, and that's why I'm glad that you're listening to me today and learning about these important concepts. And of course, social selling is not something that everyone out there that's in sales must jump in and do, right? If you're selling hot dogs on the corner, I admit LinkedIn will probably not work for you, right? If you're in a transactional type of sales environment, LinkedIn and social selling might not be the best use of your time. So the focus was really business-to-business decision makers, or that type of sector. And then the more technological, the more complex the product or solution, usually the more necessity there is for social selling. And of course, technology is a big driver to that. But we'll see this is the anatomy of most business-to-business decision makers. They're reading blogs or watching videos, getting education. They're commenting. They're looking at review sites and seeing how people are rating and talking about certain products or solutions that they might be looking to buy. They're also networking with their peers, right? I'm in the marketing industry. A lot of people that are marketing are very social, and they're always looking to rub elbows with other movers and shakers. So that's a good thing to know, because that's going to help build our business in the future, and I'll show you exactly how. And a lot of the people that are looking to buy, the decision makers, are also looking at your competitors, right? They're going to be talking to you, they're going to engage you, but they're also going to be engaging your competitors. So social selling is a great way to differentiate yourself from what the competition might be doing, right? If you're ahead of the curve. And a lot of these decision makers are also retweeting. They're on Twitter. They're posting content. They're thought leaders. So if we could engage them in the environments that they're most comfortable in, the chances of us closing that business are exponentially increase. So this is the people that we're talking to. So in summary, how would I define social selling? Well, this is my personal definition for social selling. I look at social selling as leveraging your personal brand with a marketing and a sales strategy that leads to better business relationships that result in increased sales. And this is exactly how I've used social selling in my life. And let me talk to you a little bit about my story. And I did not by all means invent social selling, right? It's not something that I came up with, but I did kind of come up with my own system of social selling, and that's what I'm going to be sharing today. But I started my first job out of college was working for an agency, MediaWiz, and it's one of the top agencies at the time in the country. But like most agencies, they were really good at doing marketing for their clients, but they didn't do much marketing for themselves. And they had really good word of mouth, and that brought in some new accounts. But those went right to the top management. And as an account executive, a brand new account executive at this agency, I was starting from scratch. I had no book of business. My network was not as extensive as what it could be, right? I'm right out of college, have very little business in the business contacts, so I had to also build that up. But we also big downfall was that we did not receive any leads. So there was not a lot of marketing. Company did very little to no marketing, and because of that, it didn't generate a lot of inbound leads. So here I was, having a desire, having a quota, having a desire to make sales, to make money, but I'm starting with no connections, and now I'm told, hey Jeff, not only do you have to close business, but the business that we're looking to close is Fortune 500 companies, and the people that you got to talk to are high-level marketing executives, many times the CMO or the person that's right below them. So it's a scary, right, to think of that scenario, that you're placed in that situation. But I'm so, in hindsight, I look at that situation, I'm so happy that I was, because it really pushed me out of my comfort zone, and it allowed me to develop not just my sales skill, but my social selling skills to get in front of these executives. So that's what I did. I actually went to a platform that at the time I was falling in love with and knew really well, and I started brainstorming, LinkedIn. How can I use LinkedIn? I see that all the people I'm looking to connect with are on here. They've got profiles. They're active. How can I get their attention? So now they're giving me an opportunity to talk about my agency and how my agency could help them, because they really could. My agency would really be able to help those organizations get a lot better results with their marketing spend. So that's when I started figuring out, wow, LinkedIn is great because first of all, I can identify the right people. I could see their title. I could see who they're connected to. I could see who I know that could introduce me to them. I also know what groups they're a part of and what discussions they're taking part in and what's of interest to them. So it gave me so much education about these prospects that when I went and talked to them, I came with very well prepared, and that got their attention. That made them look at me in a different way, like, wow, Jeff Zelaya, I got to give this kid a minute of my time at least, because look at all the work that he's done. Look at that, his profile. Look at the people that are recommending him. I want to know what this guy's about. And that was a start in my social selling career, and that helped drive within 18 months, because just LinkedIn alone, I was able to drive $1.3 million in new business from contacts that I first met on LinkedIn, that I got to know on LinkedIn. I nurtured those relationships, transformed that into a sales conversation, into a pitch, and got the business, won the accounts. Thanks because of LinkedIn. So I'm going to go through what I was doing, how I was managing that network, and also how you could do the same. And there's a lot more that I've learned from them, but it's just amazing what you're able to do, not just with LinkedIn, but with a lot of the other tools that social media and also just online tools that I'm going to be sharing today. So necessity drove me to start doing this. I drove $1.2 million in revenue. It helped me break records, right? Not only at MediaWiz, but when I also came to my new position at Vocus, I became the Rookie of the Year. I broke the record for the fastest sales rep to make it to President's Club. And here at least the difference was that we were getting leads, but I was getting more leads just for my personal network and for my social selling. And with any type of sales, this is really what it boils down to. People have to know you. They need to know who you are. You can't get new clients if people don't know what you do and what you're selling, right? So they need to know you. Second, they got to like you, right? Once they know you, hey, do I like this guy? Is he a friendly? I mean, I am unlikely to do business with the jerk, right? I'm going to go to someone else that's a little nicer, right? No one likes to deal with jerks and with people that are annoying and they're just mean, right? I want to work with people that I like, that I genuinely enjoy working with. The third part is that they got to trust you. In order for me to win that new account, they need to trust me. They need to know that what I'm telling them is the truth, that we're going to follow through, that we're going to do these different things. And yes, trusting my business, my company is one aspect of it, but it begins by them trusting me first. And if they trust me first, then great, I earn that trust. Now I sell them on why they should trust my organization and my team. So trust is essential for any new sales relationship. And then lastly is respect. They have to, people that you're selling to, they have to respect where you're coming from, your recommendations. In sales, I mean, we're no longer, at least if you want to be successful, you can no longer be that car salesperson, right, with the fast talker and shiny smile and whatever stereotype is surrounding that. You've got to be more of a doctor, physician. That's the approach that you need to take it to be successful in this sales environment, where if I'm dealing with a prospect, I'm going to be asking a lot of questions, taking a lot of notes, using that information to then come to them with the appropriate recommendation of what they need to do. This is going to be, as a doctor, this is going to be the prescription that solves your problems. And the respect comes in when the client, the patient, right, the prospect then takes that prescription and says, Jeff, you're right. I'm going to go get this right now. And they do. Why? Because they respect where you're coming from, your approach, and your knowledge of the industry and of their issues and ailments. So again, awareness, they got to know you, they got to like you, they got to trust you, but they also have to respect you. And if you're able to do these four things, you're going to win business hand over foot. So let's begin with the awareness part. And this is where you do some self-reflection and figure out, how visible am I? If you were a big deal, do people know of it, right? Maybe in your mind you're a big deal, but if I was to ask people in your industry, ask people at your company, ask people that are in the pool of folks that you want to do business with, do they know you? Do they know what you do or what you consult on or what you sell? So building that awareness is key, and there's a lot of different ways to do that. LinkedIn, of course, is a great way, and Twitter, social media, SlideShare, having your own website, but it's really just getting to know people and putting your name out there. So take an inventory. Where's your name appearing? And if it's not appearing in the places that you want it to appear, start taking steps to get it more known. And that could be, some of the strategies could be sending out press releases or just help a reporter out is something that I've used to get more name recognition for myself, where you could be quoted as a leader, as an expert in whatever industry you're a part of, and get featured in magazines and blogs, right? And going to other leaders, other thought leaders in your industry, and maybe partnering and reaching out to them and having some type of synergy where you help them, they help you, and that awareness that they have rubs off on you. So that awareness is that's a great way to build awareness if you don't have it right now. So where are you being named? What are people saying about you? Right? Is it good? Is it bad? You got to take that inventory and figure out where your weak points are at and where your strong points are at, and leverage both of those. And then how are you getting it? So we just talked about some of the ways that you could get awareness, and we're going to go into more of that in just a bit. But I just want you to start taking that inventory in your mind. How aware am I? Do people really know how big of a deal I am? Because I'm a big deal, and they got to know this. The second part is your reputation. And you ever heard the term "your reputation precedes you"? And that's always, if it's a good reputation, it's a great thing to hear, right? People, you walk into a room, people know you already. They know what you're capable of. They know what others are saying about you. This is, part of your brand. What your track record. So what are people saying about you? And not, just your company. That's always a great thing. But at the end of the day, you need to care more about yourself than you do about the company you work for. Right? Jim Rohn, one of my favorite experts and philosophers and motivational speaker, always says you got to work harder on yourself than you do at your job. And that's where reputation comes in, because that reputation will follow you everywhere you go, no matter what company you're at. So build your personal reputation. Get people to say good things about you. And how do you do that? Well, obviously you got to be good. You got to be awesome at what it is that you do. Get people chatting and talking about how awesome it is that you are at your job or at consulting others, and figure out, where is that reputation being built. LinkedIn right now is a main source of building reputation because you've got endorsements, but I like recommendations a lot more. You also have your track record of what you're tweeting, what you're talking about. That's slowly and surely building your reputation. Clout. If you've checked out your Clout score, if you haven't, go and check it, because that is part of your reputation. That takes into account your social influence. So these are all things that you should be monitoring. Again, why, and figure out why is it working and why isn't it working. So this is, again, a mental checklist. If your reputation is not where it should be or where you want it to be, why not? Is it because you don't have enough happy clients? Well, then get working on getting more. So and it starts with you just being good and having that be what drives you, and that will eventually lead to a good reputation. But there's other factors involved, and we're going to talk about that, how to build your reputation. A lot of it is also asking and being proactive. When you do a great job, when you have a happy client, asking them, can you help, can you endorse me? Can you write a recommendation, a testimonial that I could then put on my website? Can you reach out to a couple of friends and tell them about your experience and recommend me? And that will build your reputation, building your brand. Also what you put out, articles that you talk about, where you get mentioned, where you're speaking has been a way that I've built my reputation. Going to events and sharing insight and motivating my fellow colleagues. That's built my reputation as a motivator, but also as a thought leader, an expert. So find ways that you can build your reputation. And then the third area that's also crucial for social selling, but also crucial just in sales period, is education. Education is a huge part of them being informed to make the right decision. And that could be your company, but it also might not be your company. So again, that's tied into reputation, because some client, I've turned away clients. I've said, look, after taking the time to listen to your needs and listen to what you want and learning about you, I got to tell you, this is not the best fit for you. You should go here, go somewhere else, go to this client, go to this person, talk to this individual. And they'll respect, that'll build your reputation, but it comes with first also being educated about your industry, knowing your competitors, knowing what your company is able to offer. And you do that by listening, not just to your prospect, but listening to their industry, their role, taking the time to learn, taking the time to then teach, going to others and teaching and writing and writing blog posts, and again, speaking. These are other ways that you want to get and teach others what they should be doing, and just about your company as well. So these are three important factors in what will make you a very strong social seller. Finish, but we're going to get into the really good stuff now. So far we've covered just a lot of the qualities, the basic necessities, the foundation to become a social seller. Now we're going to get into the how, and again we're going to break it up into the prospecting. We're going to talk about execution, and we're going to talk about also the closing. Converting that into clients, into new business. So we're going to start first with my favorite area, one area that I love to be good at, because this will make you good in the closing part. But it's a part that many people are very they hesitate when it comes to prospecting, when it comes to the beginning and finding new relationships to build and finding the right people to prospect and to talk to. First, introduce yourself and talk to about your services and your products. But this is one area that will change. If you become good in this one area alone, it will change your business drastically. So let's start with the prospecting, and this is where we gotta find our target. So prospecting 101. When it comes to a good prospector, you gotta have a strategy. So don't go into it blind. I know a lot of people have no strategy for prospecting. They get handed a yellow page book and then they start dialing. That's going to get you nowhere. That's not a strategy. You're just executing there. So think about your prospecting strategy, and I'll show you how I built mine and how you can build yours. So we're going to talk about how you execute on that strategy and how you automate it. There's parts of your prospecting that you can automate to make it easier on yourself, because this is a machine that always has to be kept going for you to have new people, new bodies to talk to, new accounts to win. So this is a prospecting strategy that I'm using. Okay, first of all, identify who you want as a client. So think about your ideal client. Is it Fortune 500? Is it Fortune 1000? Is it a certain area that client has to be in? Do they have to have a certain spend? Think about your ideal client, and that's going to paint a profile for the people that you want to reach out to, and that's going to come in handy, because we're going to take that profile and then start finding people that fit that profile across the web using social media and using our online tools. And then also find partners. A lot of salespeople are not leveraging this as much as they could, but you could have good partners that are feeding you leads and prospects, and you feed them as well. Right? One, you scratch their back, they're scratching yours. A great, an off kind of traditional method, BNI. I know is a good networking group. A lot of my colleagues and some of my friends are using that as a way of getting referrals. Right? So find partners like that. People that are in a maybe similar type, are working with clients that you potentially want to work with. And then for prospecting, also try to focus on verticals. That makes you more successful, more focused on good prospecting. So, look at some of the ways to identify verticals is just to look at some of the successes that you've had, right? So my company has been really successful with schools, colleges, right? We're very successful with restaurants and the food industry. We're very successful with PR agencies. So when I start prospecting, I'm going to be looking at those verticals to start with because I have so many success stories I can name drop, and I have a network already built around those 3 verticals that I could leverage for good prospecting. Also, when you're prospecting, you're looking, figure out who is the department that's making the decision to purchase your product or solution. That could be the public relations department, the marketing department. Maybe it's the executive suite. Maybe it's someone in operations. So zoning in on that department that's in charge, and then specific titles. So within, I reach out to the communications department quite a bit. Within the communications department, there is the communications director. There is the communications assistant, and there's the public relations assistant, and there is the executive assistant, right? So there's a lot of different titles within that department. My goal is to figure out who are the people that I have to deal with, to talk to, and more than likely it's the director. I want to go high up. The product or solution that you sell, might not be that. You might not have to go to that level. It might just be the executive assistant that decides to buy. So figure out the titles of people that you're mostly getting signatures from on your contracts, or the people that you're having that conversation with, negotiation with, and just keep that in your notepad, right? We're going to come back to that. No competitors, right? Figure out your competitor, the person that you're looking to be like or be better than. Who are their clients? And can you have those as clients? Can you win those accounts over, or accounts that are like those over? So know what your competitor is going after. That's a good prospecting strategy or tactic to use. And then know about recent events. This is a great way, especially in social selling. It's a great way because I leverage that quite a bit, right? If I see that someone got promoted recently, that's a great opportunity for me to go in there, especially if they're now from PR manager to PR director. Awesome, that's great. Now they're in a position they're probably going to be making changes, right? Whoever got fired, whoever role that they took wasn't probably doing things the best way. So now they're in that position. They're going to be looking at making changes, and my tool is perfect for them, and they can consider it when they're starting to change a lot of the tools and things that they've been doing. So look for recent events that are happening as signals for you to move in and prospect that account. And then prospect and get introduced. So look at your own network, the network that you have now on LinkedIn, and then look at the second level connections, people that you could get someone in your own network that to introduce you to. And I've won a lot of business that way by looking. I have a friend of a friend. That's really what it is. And we went to college together, and they know me really well. We've worked in the past, and I say, hey, I know you're friends of this communications director. I've been trying to get their attention. Can you introduce me to them? And if you do it, they're more likely to talk to me. So you can see those, just from doing a couple things through LinkedIn, seeing who you're connected to that can introduce you to possible prospects. So that's a huge strategy to leverage. And then for finding the right people, LinkedIn could, again, remember those titles that we talked about, the companies. Now to build your lead list, to build that list of the prospects, your potential prospect that you're going to go after, you do that right on LinkedIn. It's so simple. Let's say it's a location. Identify I want clients in the U.S. Actually, I'm going right after Pepsi. That's a client that I want to have. And I know for the product that I'm selling, it's IT related. So you have to be in the IT department. And the only people that could really make the decision on this product are the directors. Those are the decision makers for my type of tool. So by plugging that stuff into my search criteria for LinkedIn, I now get a list of 28 directors of IT at Pepsi Cola that I could start building a relationship with. So that's a way to leverage that. And this is another way that I use as well is trigger events. So if someone's it's their anniversary, 2 years at a company, awesome, and then she's the owner, that's great. I congratulate her. Awesome, this is a good time. You're looking to grow some more. Your past 2 years have been awesome. I'm sure you want to do more in the future. This is how we could do that, and good timing to engage in dialogue. If someone got promoted, congratulate them. That's awesome. Now they're at a new company. They're gonna, maybe not right away. You want to start dropping your sales pitch to them, but start, getting, at least that, make a note of that, and start nurturing that, engaging them. So when they're ready, maybe, or they've got some time there, now you know that person. They're a friend of yours, a connection of yours, and you could use them to help you get to the right people. Or maybe she is the right person, and you could deal with her directly. And then on the top, so you see the warm introduction. So leverage your first degrees to get to your second degrees, and you could even leverage second degrees to get you to your third degree. So if you're not, it's a friend of a friend of a friend. Now, obviously, those will be a little harder to get, but second degrees, I mean, there's a lot there to go around, and you could get very busy just working those accounts. And then congratulate people, of course, whenever you see some new openings, and if someone is now VP of Business Development, something that happens when someone gets promoted or gets hired at a new organization, they're going to make changes. New people bring in new ideas. They want to try different methods. And if you're selling a solution, selling something that is for that business, that's a great time to reach out, because they're probably going to be evaluating what they've done in the past, what hasn't worked. And if they've been using your competitor, where you could say, hey, maybe that's the reason that it hasn't been working. Maybe it's time that you try my solution, and this is what we could do, and schedule that conversation. So, and it's the beginning of building a relationship. So, be strategic, right? Build your criteria. Who are the people that you want to connect with? Who are the people that you need to meet? And once you build that, you could automate it. And I'm going to show you now. I'm going to actually go through a live example of how I do this, and how I reach out to these people, and having a method in place that will help you get their attention. Okay. So with LinkedIn, you're able to build. Let's say this is how I would use this: advanced search. You can have a lead builder. So a lead builder will actually deliver these leads to your inbox, and we'll chat. But we'll chat about that in a minute. But just look at a basic search of how I could do this. So I want to deal with people that are in the U.S. Right? That makes things much easier for me. Right? I'm looking to work with folks that are that are communications directors. So I want that title. So I'm going to go ahead and right here put in communications director in the U.S. Okay, and then I could shift here to become more precise. I put that in my title. All right, let's refine that search again. So that right here in my own network, I've identified directors of communication. So these are people that are in a position to buy my solution. So I could already look at these are people that I'm already connected with, and I could start reaching out. And there's a couple ways to be able to do this. Okay, so let's say Craig right there, he provides his email address, so anyone could easily connect with Craig. Right, try to endorse people that you're working with or want to build. Endorsing is a great way to just stay top of mind, because they usually get an email saying, "Hey, Jeff Zelaya, just endorse Craig, for these skills." So that's another little tip that you could do to just those touches, having your name pop up every so often, so they start to know who you are. But from here, you can know, okay, this person's perfect. They've been there 4 months, so they're probably going to be doing some changes very soon, right? They've just got there. So great time for me to reach out, and I'm going to go to my CRM, figure out, is anyone else working this account? If not, make sure I own it in my CRM, and make a note here, even tag it. So this is another thing that I do, is I tag this account, and you could do this again. This guy actually is already a client of ours, but if he wasn't, I would tag him as a PR prospect. And then I could pull a list of all the people that are in my first level connections that are PR prospects, because those are the folks that I want to start reaching out to and become more involved with. So just some of the things that I would be doing, but you could have that do that search. You saw how easy it was. I already found people in my own network that I could start reaching out to. But let's say you're not connected to these people, or you want to look beyond your own connections. So another way to do that is just click here, second level connections, and now it filters. So these are people that you're not connected to directly, but they're connected to someone that you're connected to. And what you could do is look Dan Ramp, I click Dan Ram's name. I want to reach out to Dan. This is a good candidate to buy my solution. I look to see who we have, who are the connections that we have in common. All right, and you can see it right here. We have Asia Bird as a shared connection. So, hey, Asia, can you introduce me to Dan? Easy as that. I know Asia. We've worked in the past together. Actually, when I was at MediaWiz, she did some work for me, so now I could use her, leverage her, that relationship to get over to Dan. And then you would customize this message. So if I was to choose that, right, it has a message here that I could, it's like, hey, Asia, and of course, I'm going into it knowing about Dan, knowing about, don't be sleazy salesperson or a robotic salesperson. Actually know that Dan's has a need for what it is that you're selling, right? Could benefit from what it is that you're selling, and be specific. Hey, I think, Asia, can you introduce me to Dan, because Dan, I've seen Dan is getting ready for this upcoming event, and I've got some ideas of how he could benefit from one of the tools that my company has. So, give it a real good reason why Asia should introduce you to Dan, because at stake is also Asia, the relationship that you have with Asia, and the relationship that Asia has with Dan. You don't want to mess those things up. So, don't be sleazy. Don't be very salesy. I mean, just try to really do it in a way that will benefit everyone that's involved, and that's win-win-win for everyone. Is always the best way to go about these type of introductions, and have a message. And if you get rejected or the person doesn't want to do it, don't take it personal. Again, it's just business, right? You could still maintain a good relationship with everyone involved, but if you have a certain method that you follow, it will make you very efficient at this. Keep those templates that you notice work, and then use those often in getting your introductions. Now you know how to take advantage and do those searches to find those prospects. Another area to find prospects is look at inbound opportunities. So we want to get everyone to the place where they're getting so many views organically on their LinkedIn profile, because you've already got an all-star profile, right? You're already producing content and becoming more active, looking at others' profiles. In turn, they're going to be looking at yours. So whenever anyone looks at your profile, it's an inbound opportunity. And LinkedIn almost encourages you to reach back out to them and to connect with them, or to find out, hey, what caused you to check out my profile? How can I help you? They're landing on your profile for a reason. I always like to find out what that reason is. They might be looking to work at your company. They might be looking to learn from you. They might be looking to buy what you're selling, but you're not proactively reaching out, so they go somewhere else. So look at these opportunities as inbound opportunities, and reach out and find out, hey, can we connect, or can we chat? Let's have a phone call. Make it offline if possible. And then the third part of the prospecting funnel is automating this, right? So every day we're always looking to add more accounts into our prospecting funnel, because you're going to be working these accounts. Some of them will convert into an appointment where you could have a sales conversation with those individuals. Others will need to be nurtured maybe until they are ready for that. Others are not interested at all. So you always have to pack that funnel up with new leads that you're able to reach out to and start dialogue with. So with Lead Builder, which is a function, it's a feature of the LinkedIn Premium account, you can actually set up that criteria that we went through earlier, right? So if it's communications director, if it's a certain zip code or certain country, state, we select all that criteria, and every day LinkedIn will deliver to your inbox leads that fit that criteria. So you have accounts or possible accounts that you could reach out to, people that you could start connecting with and start working with. So that's the first part, the prospecting part, right? So finding the individuals, connecting, and also, feel free. I'll go through some. I know this is always a challenge for people, but should I send invites to prospects? Do. If you have a reason to connect with them, why not? If I hear Dan, I could immediately connect with him since we're part of the same group, and we could do that. And then I make sure always personalize that message and say, hey, Dan, I wanted to connect with you. I know, even, hey, I saw Asia's one of our mutual connections. How do you know her? Or, hey, Dan, wanted to commend you on starting this new job, or whatever it is. Have a reason to include, to want to connect, personalize that note. Always, every message on LinkedIn, always personalize. Never go with what LinkedIn gives you. You want to personalize everything. And then send that invitation, and hopefully Dan will connect back with you. So this is, again, feel free to invite others. Another way to do this, and do it kind of at a larger level, to add more connections to your network, because that is important. That will open up more opportunities to connect with other individuals. You could go here, add connections, and you could either upload a list, right? So if you have already your CRM, your company gives you accounts that you need to be calling into, working, you could easily upload that into LinkedIn, and it'll identify where their profile, who they are, and you can start sending invites to those people right away. So that's another way to do that. You can manage those imported contacts. If they're not on LinkedIn, you can send them an invite. I wouldn't recommend doing that, but if they're on LinkedIn, feel free to invite them to connect with you. So some other great ways to continue to build your network. Always be connecting. That's what has taken over for ABC, always be closing. Now it's always be connecting. All right, so next part is now relationship building. So now that you have a connection, the network built, and prospects to reach out to, you have to build relationships with these people. It's not just, hey, do you want to buy this? Okay, no, and then move on, right? A lot of it is building a relationship, and you do that by providing value first. So share relevant insights. Again, with Dan, the example, I figured out some ways that some things that he should be doing that will help him with getting more exposure to his company, or give him some tips, or invite him to a webinar that he could benefit from that will be a good fit for what he's doing, his role at the company. Get involved in groups. I noticed that he's part of some groups. Start engaging in conversation there. He gets a group email every week, and if you are very involved, he'll see your name pop up. He'll see that you're smart, that you're knowledgeable in your industry. Get to know them. Follow them on Twitter. If they're on SlideShare, follow them on SlideShare, Quora, right? Google their name and figure out how else can you connect with that person. Something that I do that works really well is not only am I connecting with them on LinkedIn, but then I go to, if they're on Twitter, and then let's see if Dan's on Twitter. All right, so here he's got his company threat metrics. So what I would do is and this is I recommend you doing this because it's another way you could touch base with them, right? Retweet their company, what they're posting out, become knowledgeable of what is. I would follow them, and then I have a list specifically for my prospects. So this is a PR prospect, or where is that? Yeah, prospect right here, and it's locked, so they don't get the alert. Oh yeah, they've been identifying you as a prospect. So, but you could add them to a list, and now what I know is that these are the folks that I want to follow closely, engage with, monitor. So if there's an event that they're talking about that is perfect timing, a trigger for weighing in on a solution that I'm selling, now is a good time to connect with them. So here I have my prospect list, so I see, wow, this is great. This is a client that I want to have. I retweet this. I would go through this maybe a couple times a day. Dan Hudson, his account I've been working for a while now. I like what Dan shares. First of all, he's got some really good stuff, and we could discuss this on our next call. So when I reach out to Dan, hey Dan, I noticed that you've got a new post on your blog, awesome stuff, and then it just gives you the ability to build rapport because you're monitoring not just them on LinkedIn, but what they're doing on Twitter as well. So it helps you have a good conversation next time you call Dan, and it's never a cold call, right? Because you should have some insight and a reason why you're calling and why you're reaching out. And always look for ways to help. And a great driver in building relationships is content. So have interesting stuff to say, have interesting stuff to share, teach, right? All that stuff is essential. And nurturing is also crucial. This is me and my son, and I want to be as nurturing as possible to my son. Give him the ability, give him the support that he needs to grow and to become successful and to become smarter and stronger. And that's the way you need to look at the people that you're connected with. So in the end, yeah, we're salespeople, but doesn't mean that you don't care about other people you're selling to. And that's sometimes doesn't come into play, or you'll be like, oh yeah, just a sale, just a number. It's never that for me. It's always nurturing, helping others, because even though they can't buy from you right now or buy ever, they might, because you nurture that relationship, because you really care about helping them, they will look out for you in the future. Trust me. And even if they don't look out for you in the future, it's the right thing to do. So that's why you should be doing it. So nurture the people around you, and that will generate great results. And with building relationships, face-to-face is still the best. So if you could go somewhere and meet these people, get them out for a cup of coffee, right? Ask for a cup of coffee, invite them to a cup of coffee, go to a networking event that they're going to be going to, that they posted on their Twitter or LinkedIn. Go there and meet them face-to-face. And then all your nurturing, all your relationship building, you can measure these things. And Peter Drucker said it best: if you can't measure it, you can't manage it. So always be focused on building connections, monitoring that number. When you're posting updates up, you could share a lot of profiles, or on LinkedIn especially, you can get away with always posting about your business, but put in some quotes, put in some personal stuff, right? The right balance, I would say, is for every 3 business focus updates, make one personal. Make one about you, about your motivation, about who you are, that reveals a little bit about yourself. And you can see how successful those posts are, how many likes they're getting, how many impressions they have, how many people are commenting on it. And lastly, you could also look at who's looking at your profile and how they found you, right? So is it certain keywords that you're appearing for? Is it through Google? Is it because they're coming from a certain area, a certain company? So it gives you good intelligence that you could then use to leverage and to change your prospecting strategy or your market strategy. So always look at the numbers, analytics. Marketing is key. We focus so much on the storytelling that we don't look at the analytics and the numbers behind, the metrics behind it. And then you need both. You need both to be truly successful. And then lastly, it's closing, right? We all want to close deals, but closing is just the beginning. So when you do close a deal, right? And of course, that's going to not happen no one's going to go on LinkedIn and say, yeah, the LinkedIn message, let me sign this tomorrow, right? More likely you're going to have phone calls, right? You're going to close it into an appointment, do your pitch, engage them in your sales process, negotiate, and then come to terms of how to. So that's just sales skills that you'll make use in there. But this will help you with closing those deals, because you'll have objections. People want to know, hey, who else can vouch for you and say that this is a good? Who else has bought from you before and could say this is a good product? So that's how I leverage social selling for closing more deals, because I get recommended for my happy clients. And that helps me get more clients. I had just last week, someone was on the fence in moving forward with my company, and all I had to do was reach out to my network, say, hey, do you mind if this person calls you because they're interested in buying? And if they hear from you directly how your experience, they're more likely to buy. And that they did just that. And now the lady that was on the fence is no longer on the fence, and she's going to be moving forward with one of my solutions that I proposed because of my recommendation. So just because you close a deal, that's not the end of it. Make sure you ask for a recommendation, ask for referrals, right? Because now I know Joyner here, and I know who he's connected to. And instead of the old insurance trick where it says, hey, can you think of 3 people that come to mind that I could, I could use insurance? I now go to Joyner and say, hey, Joyner, I know you know these 3 people. Can you introduce me to these 3 people? So their network, connect with them on LinkedIn, obviously, and reward them. So make them feel with you, and reward them with special webinars that are client-focused. Give them discounts, make sure you're thinking of them, reach out to them. Thank you card, works wonders. So recommendations, referrals, and rewards, and reward your deals that you're closing. So again, thank you so much for listening to my first webinar, my Google Hangout on social selling. This is a topic that I know very well, but I haven't really been teaching a lot of people about social selling. This is my first time doing a webinar on this subject, so I appreciate it. Thank you for listening. Take care. Zelaya, you could connect with me on LinkedIn at actually just go to my website, jeffzelaya.com. All my information is there. Connect with me if you haven't done so already. Reach out to me if you have any questions at all. jeffzelaya@gmail.com. Thank you so much for checking out my first ever social selling webinar. I'm going to be bringing more of these in the future, because obviously we can't cover everything about social selling in 1 hour, but hopefully today you got some good little nuggets that you could start using. And follow, the key social sellers out there, and I'll be doing more stuff in the future. So thanks again for tuning in. I hope you have a wonderful night, and see you out there.